Hi you guys, I'm Lindsay and this is Inside the Hem, the YouTube channel all about sewing. We have been talking all week about Draper James and the JOANN fabric collaboration, and I've been showing you how you can take those fabrics, pair them with a Big 5 pattern, and get something that is inspired by and or looks very, very similar to actual Draper James garments that you can buy in retail. Today we're going to be talking about the knit mesh fabrics. There's only 2 of them, but honestly I was so inspired by this fabric. I was inspired by the ready-to-wear inspirations, and as soon as I started looking for patterns, I realized just how versatile this fabric is and how many beautiful garments can be made from it that I never considered before. Stretch mesh was not one of those things that's top of mind for me. So I was really, really thrilled to dive into this and be able to bring you so many ready-to-wear options with patterns matched up. So let's take a look.
All right, when I was looking through the JOANN website and I saw this mesh come across, I was instantly intrigued. This is definitely not something we've seen a lot in the past. I also couldn't even recall like any Draper James mesh garments. So when I went to the internet and I found all of these cute stretch mesh garments, I was like, oh, okay, because I've only ever seen mesh in like overlays that are sheer, right? Or like a t-shirt type thing that you wear under, like a layering piece. I hadn't seen them as like full-on individual garments with only the mesh. So I was really excited to see that. It is a poly span. It doesn't talk anything about the lining other than it's also lined in mesh. But they have literally all of these different prints. So here's the other mesh. It doesn't say it in the listing, but it is the polyspan stretch mesh. All right, so in this one, we're looking for that tie neck again. If you want to call back to the hearts and stars video, this one does have the ruffle collar again. So very, very similar. And then it's got these little flutter sleeves that are just not serged on the end. Oh boy, what's it called when it's like the treatment that you do to the napkins? Oh, you do it on your serger. I cannot remember what it's called to save my life. You guys are screaming at your computers. Please leave it in the comments and remind everybody what it's called. It might come to me before this video is over. I'm not sure. But we've got several rows of shirring here and then into our tiered skirts. So you can see all that come together there. Oh, okay. Here is the lining. So it is maybe like power mesh. Maybe like just some other kind of mesh lining. Oh, and look, there's shirring on the shoulder as well. I don't think I found that in any of our inspiration that I can think of, but that's also an interesting detail. All right, so to remake that dress, you are going to need McCall's 8089, also known as Adrena. All right, let's look at the line drawings and compare. So we have got the little like collar that you would turn into a ruffle by, I don't know, multiplying this pattern piece by 2.5 times the original length, gathering it up, and then attaching it how they have you attach this one. You'd also want to put those little drawstrings in. Then coming down, you still have the elastic waist situation. You would just, in lieu of elastic, leave that out and just shirr this, I don't know, maybe 3 inches worth of it. Shirr it to, that's how you're going to bring in your waist. And then here is our skirt with the 3 tiers. Okay, so you're swapping out this bodice for, swapping out, yeah, this bodice for this bodice. And then ours is just going to be sleeveless. So even easier, you just leave off the sleeves. It's going to be lined, so you can, finish off the arm side with the lining. The pattern does call for lining. No, it doesn't. Correct. No lining on the pattern, but you can easily make a lining. It's not difficult at all. You would just cut out these bodice pieces from a lining fabric, and then you would cut out the longest tier of the skirt also from your lining fabric. Sew those right sides together before you shirr the waist seam. Sew it right sides together, turn it inside out like a regular line dress, And then once it's complete, then you will add your shirring to it. Okay, here is a wrap dress version. This one's super pretty because, again, this is layered. And then the bottom layer is sheer, and then you add on another one. I think there's also a seam here, right? Can you see that seam? And I think these are two different fabrics, which is also really unique. We don't have that option in the stretch mesh at JOANN, but that's really fun. So we've got this little detail here. I know that there are patterns that have kind of like a scoopy skirt hem. So again, you could attach that to a wrapped or surplus bodice and be good to go, or at least similar. And then we've got the sleeve with the shirring at the hem again. I think the sleeve is fully unlined. And then we've got a forward shoulder seam with some darts or pleats happening, gathers happening. But yeah, you can see this. I know you guys have seen those in some of my first impression videos. So really pretty, really flowy, really great for like a wedding. Yeah, you can get a good look at it there. Okay, so if you wanted to do that contrast piece, these are the patterns you would be looking at. These are also a little bit more angled than scooped. But again, this is kind of a little bit more just like inspiration. There's also McCall's 8510. This one does have a little bit more of a circular motion to it, but it still is angled rather than scooped. But there's an option there. And then Butte du Jour has Nomi 2016. This is a dress, but it's not a wrap. And then this is also, I don't know, a little more angled. And also it has gathers, whereas our pattern is more like a circle skirt, a circle piece added to the skirt. So none of these are quite hitting the spot exactly if you wanted to highlight the contrast or color blocking or print mixing. But if we ignore that part, because we can't really achieve it with our meshes anyways, then you're going to start looking for some wrap dresses with some kind of frilly detail. I think that'll get us really, really close. So we have New Look 6750. This is a woven dress, so you are going to have to pay attention to your ease amounts. They can still be positive ease because our dress is loose fitting, but not as much positive ease as you would need for a woven dress as for this knit dress. For example, around the waist, it can obviously be a little bit tighter because that mesh will stretch around your body. You can also eliminate the darts. You do not need those. And then you have this as your kind of like frilly feature. You would make the sleeve version, but you would make it shorter and you would add an elastic band or some shirring to create that little kind of like a peplum sleeve. I guess I don't know how else to explain it. But we do still have the gathers in there, so that is good. There's also Simplicity 9639 wrap dress, a little bit more leaning into the inspiration here. I did like this asymmetrical hem. I felt like that really called to our inspo. You could even cut out 2 layers of this skirt and do them at different lengths if you wanted to like achieve that kind of layered look, which I thought was really pretty. This is also surprisingly very Draper James coded, even though it's not like our inspiration dress. Draper James loves a ruffle. They love sticking ruffles everywhere. So this one, having all these extra ruffles, would be really, really pretty. And then there's this one that just has the plain ruffle hem. It's also cute. Any of these, I think, would be adorable in that mesh. If you wanted to achieve the sleeve again, you can take this one and just put elastic at the hem and you would be good to go. Here's another really pretty version. This one has like a ruche seam up the middle and is a drop waist and then has like a regular situation on the skirt happening. And then this little flutter sleeve that ends in an elastic band on the sleeve, but ruching up the back as well. All right, so for the fully ruched top to bottom option, we have McCall's 8413. This is a caftan though, so it does not have the set-in sleeve. It also is just ruched from top to bottom and doesn't have anything attached down here to create that skirt part. So if the ruching is the thing you absolutely love about our inspo, then this would be an option for you. I found this one here. So remember, we're inspired, okay? We are inspired. And then you still have your little balloon sleeve. You could make that shorter and add elastic to it. This has kind of like a drapier neckline. This one has just a scoop, so you could scoop it out if you wanted. You would just take any of these and do a normal shoulder length, scoop it out, and then carry the center front seam all the way up, ruche that, and you would achieve an inspired dress. There's also this one, which I thought was super fun. Very different from our inspo, but would look stunning in the mesh. But it has this really fun ruching detail, and the mesh would lay so beautifully in this. Here is that same concept in a top, right? Ruching up the center, same neckline, same sleeve, just longer. And so options for that would be just to make a plain t-shirt with the bubble sleeve. You could cut this up the center front and add your ruching there. Adding the ruching is not hard. Do not be intimidated by that. It's very, very easy. I also threw in this one as our more inspired look because, again, all these wraps and folds and everything would look stunning in the stretch mesh. Then we have this dress here. Now, this is cut on the asymmetrical, very, very similar to this one. It just has both sleeves, a V-neck, and then a little slit happening. But in through here is your gather and your ruching. Here are some other patterns that I think would look really, really good out of the stretch mesh. This one would also be really pretty in the stretch mesh because it has all the draping. Really just anything that calls for like a fabric with a lot of stretch in it and lightweight. So anything that says bamboo is going to be great. Interlock is going to be ITY. All of these are options. The Draper James for JOANN does have some interlock knits that we're going to look at in another video, but we need something lightweight, drapey, and a decent amount of stretch. Like I think it's 75% or more. And then I got this one as well, just because again, it just lends itself to that drape so nicely and would look really, really pretty. There was also this as inspiration from Nomi. This is 2038, Alicia. Again, can't you see this out of the mesh? Then there's this one here, also by Nomi. This is by the Corny Rainbow. If you can't find stretch mesh lining, I think that you could just use any stretch, like thin, lightweight, stretchy knit that is as stretchy as the stretch mesh. If you found something similar like that, not out of mesh, but at a similar stretch rate, I think you'd also be good.
And there you have it. So many beautiful dresses that you can make from their stretch mesh. I do believe stretch mesh is going to be one of those things that we're going to start seeing a lot more made available to home sewists. So if these two prints just weren't your thing, keep your eye out because I think stretch mesh is going to be popping up here, there, and everywhere. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and click the notification bell so you do not miss tomorrow's video where we will be taking a look at kind of a niche fabric collection, but it's all of the fabrics that featured hearts and stars because surprisingly there were a lot of them. So I will see you back here tomorrow. Happy sewing.